What's up, sports bettors? If you don't love gambling, we're not friends. So get the drinks ready, and I'm going to be taking you through the three sharpest underdog fantasy picks that you can get in on. Okay? And if you're new to this channel, OddsJam is fascinating in terms of the sports betting industry. And the reason is because we focus on data, right? We don't know coaches, none of that BS, but we really show you how you can win and strategies you can implement to understand the sportsbooks, DFS operators, and how to win long term. So today we're looking at underdog fantasy. Why? Because I decided to analyze underdog fantasy today, and I realized they have better payouts than PrizePicks for a lot of entries, especially for 3-pick entries, right? So for 3-pick entries, PrizePicks only gives you plus 400 odds. You're betting 20 to win 80 in profit. Now on underdog fantasy, if we go to the pick'em, it's completely different. If we take 1, 2, 3, you'll see you're getting plus 500 odds, right? So you're betting 20 to win $100 in profit plus your $20 stake back, which is why it says payout is 120. So underdog fantasy is much better, and the implied price, the implied juice that they're charging on a 3-pick entry is only minus 122, right? So what OddsJam does, and it's completely free to browse odds on OddsJam, so any sport you want to look at, let's say football, as an example, because hey, apparently football is a popular sport. Lamar Jackson, under 1.5 passing touchdowns. We can get this at the implied price in a 3-pick or 5-pick entry of minus 122 on underdog fantasy, right? Now, in a 2-pick entry, you're getting worse odds, right? Of course, you only need 2 picks, but your implied juice is going to be minus 137, exactly like PrizePicks, right? Which is a lot of juice if you think about it, right? Even for a 3-pick entry, minus 122, minus 122, there's a lot of juice in that market, 44 cents, right? But nowhere near as bad as the 74 cents in a 2-pick entry. But regardless, because underdog fantasy, right, what's really interesting about underdog and PrizePicks is your payout doesn't change, right, depending on if you select the overs or the unders. That's very different than the sportsbooks, right? On the sportsbooks, your payout's going to change depending on if you select an over or an under, right? But it's completely different on underdog fantasy. You take Lamar over or under 1.5 passing TDs, you're getting minus 122 implied odds in a 3-pick or a 5-pick entry. So what we want to take is obviously the under, because all the sportsbooks have it heavily juiced. In sportsbooks, imply win probabilities through their odds, right? If sportsbooks have the under heavily juiced, it means the under's a lot more likely to hit. And here you can see that Pinnacle Sportsbook, the sharpest bookmaker in the world, they're pricing the under 1.5 for Lamar at minus 181, the overs at plus 134. So if you remove the juice, the true odds, according to the sharpest bookmaker, the sharpest sportsbook, are going to be minus 151. We're getting minus 122 in our PrizePicks entry, right? So this is why I love sports betting and I love making money off PrizePicks and underdog fantasy, is because, right, all these sportsbooks have different prices, right? Which is why sports betting is so fascinating, because you don't, like the people who make money sports betting, they don't understand sports. They don't give a F about sports. Nobody cares, right? It's about the numbers, it's about the data. And when every sports book is heavily juicing in under minus 150 or higher, and you can get it minus 122, that's a pretty good indication that that's a bet you want to be on or a pick you want to include in your underdog entry, right? Math aside, it's just like rational, right? If every sportsbook is pricing something, from minus 150 to minus 180, you can get it minus 122. Seems like a pretty dang good value bet, and value is all that matters in the long run as a sports bettor. We talk about this a lot, but if you think about a sportsbook, right, most sportsbooks charge minus 110 juice on both sides of a point spread. So if you go to Caesars, for example, and you just go to whatever, let's go to college football, right? Most of these, what is going on? So what you'll notice is for non-live games, if we can get past the live games, right, the juice is bet 11 to win back 10. minus 110 odds. On over-unders, on point spreads, minus 110, minus 110. So that's the sportsbook's advantage. They're making you bet $11 to win back 10 on both the over and the under. It's not really fair, right? You have to bet 11 to win back 10 on something that's supposed to be 50% to occur. The game goes over, the game goes under. So essentially, as a sharp bettor, or to win on point spreads as a sports bettor, this is important to underdog fantasy as well. You need to win 52.4% of your bets. If you're winning 52.4% of your spread or total bets, then you're breaking even. If you're winning 55%, you're very profitable in the long run. If you're winning 50%, and you literally can't be worse than 50% in the long run, because it's like you could literally blindly bet over or under. Like if you just decided, flip the coin for over or under, you're going to be winning 50% of the time. The game goes over or under every time, so you'd be winning 50% of the time. So that difference between winning 50 and 55% of the time is like the people who lose their house and go broke betting on sports, gambling on sports, and then people who do it full time for a living. So these percentages and finding value, if you actually want to make money off underdog, is all that matters. So first bet we have is clearly going to be Lamar under, right? All the sports books heavily juicing it. Absolute hammer, right? You look at each sports book kind of in the market as an individual data point, and it's very clear that this minus 122 is a line discrepancy. So that's the first play I have, and I know I went through it before, so let's go to an interesting one, right? This interesting one is from a different betting tool on OddsJam. So this one's from the middle betting tool. So what middles are and why they're so fascinating is it shows you where sportsbooks have the line set at different levels, right? So it's not just what am I trying to say? It's not just both sportsbooks have necessarily need to have a player prop at, LeBron over 30 points, under 30 points. Sportsbooks can sometimes have the line set at different levels. So what we notice right here is if we go to it, is Kyler Murray player passing attempts. Most sportsbooks have the line set at 35.5 or 36.5. On PrizePicks, in a 3-pick or a 5-pick entry, we can get under 37.5. That seems pretty good, especially considering DraftKings, Caesars, and Pinnacle, they all have the under 36.5 player passing attempts heavily juiced at worse odds, right? If you want to bet under 36.5 on DraftKings, you have to bet it at minus 125, which is the best price you can get on under 36.5 player passing attempts. We can get under 37.5 attempts at minus 122, which is objectively better. That's definitely a play we want to be on. So what we can do is we can go here and we can be like, okay, I want Lamar, no passing TDs. I want Kyler. What did I want from Kyler? Under 37.5 passing attempts. And then the final one I wanted, so you can see right here, right? This is currently coming out to plus 200 odds, 20 to win 40 in profit, 20 to win 60 total once you include your stake. So that's the second pick I'm on. And what you can kind of do to compare it to a sports book, and then, let's just go to the final pick first. So we have that, and then there's one more I wanted to share with you. So let's go through it. No MLB, no one likes baseball. And what we want is right here. Allen Robinson, under 4.5 receptions, right? All the sports books have it heavily juiced. Minus 149 on BetOnline, a pretty sharp bookmaker. Pinnacle has it minus 152. DraftKings minus 165. Being able to get this at minus 122 implied odds seems pretty great. So that's the next one I'm going to end up locking in. And again, if you go to the Rams game, so let's go to the Rams game. Take a sip of my drink. If you go to the Rams game, that's not what I'm looking for, not next week. No, thank you. We want to go to the Los Angeles Rams, their game against the Falcons. Okay, so if we go to player props, right, this is what's so fascinating. I love this. So if we go here and you go to Robinson, and we want his total receptions. So if you take his under 4.5, you're getting minus 157. And then the second game we wanted was, let's just look at, the Ravens game for Lamar Jackson passing TDs. And this is what's wrong one again. It's bringing me to the games next week. So I got to go here, trying to move quickly. Player props, Lamar Jackson, right? If we were to take both unders on Caesars, we're only getting plus 164 odds. On PrizePicks or Underdog, we'd be getting plus 200. So a lot of value. On the other hand, if you switch Lamar to an over, and then you switch Allen Robinson, so let's go back to the Rams game. If you switch him to an over, so let's go here, then instead of plus 164, which is what it was before, we would be getting plus 367. So plus 164 to plus 367, because the unders are a lot more likely to hit, so the sportsbooks are reducing the payout a lot, right? It's just logical. Whereas on PrizePicks or Underdog Fantasy, we're looking at Underdog Fantasy. I got to stop saying PrizePicks, and you can click the link below to sign up. You get a $100 deposit bonus when you sign up, which is pretty easy money. You literally just deposit $100. They give you $100. You have $100 of credit to play with. But the second one I wanted was Allen Robinson. So if you take his under, right, now you see 20 to win 60. So that's plus 200 odds when we were only getting plus 164 on Caesars for this, right? Whereas for both overs, you're getting plus 367 on the sportsbooks, and you're only getting the same odds on Underdog, right? Because they're not varying payouts depending on if you select the over or the under, which is why it's pretty easy to make money off them. So the final one we wanted was Murray. So I have 3 plays. Nope, not that. 3 plays: Lamar under 1.5 passing TDs, Allen Robinson under 4.5 receptions, Kyler Murray under 37.5 passing attempts, and let's have some fun. So we'll hit that. You've hit our limit, $750 on Underdog. Okay, so they're not going to let me bet $350. Maybe they'll let me bet $250. I guess I've already hit the limit, maybe. We'll see if they take a slightly lower amount. So we'll try just 50. There we go. So they'll just take 50, but sure, we'll take it. And that's that. So hopefully you enjoyed this video, and let's make some money.